More fish room builds. This time, it's a rack for 4 40-gallon breeder tanks. I'm going to show you exactly what I did and why. That's coming up. Steve Poland here, Steve Poland Cichlids, stevepolandcichlids.com, and I have been busy. Basically, I decided that the area in my basement that's pretty much half a fish room might as well be a whole fish room. It's a small room, so space is tight, but I had this 6-foot area that I knew I wanted to use to add some tanks. So I set about to create a plan for a rack system. I had 3 main considerations. Number 1, maximize the space. Like I said, it's a small area, so I had to limit this build to about 6 feet wide by about 20 inches deep. In a situation like that, the gut instinct might be to just throw a couple of 125s in there or 150s and call it a day. But that doesn't work because of consideration number 2. Don't break the bank. 125s and 150s are expensive tanks, even if you find them used. And Petco's dollar per gallon sale is still going on, so it just made sense to try and limit this to the sizes that they're selling. So that's 10s, 20s, 29s, 40 breeders, or 55s. And the potential arrangement of those tanks brings me to my 3rd consideration, which is tank divisions. I wanted the benefit of having a lot of separate tanks for fry and juveniles, but without having to do an excessive number of water changes on separate tanks. I also wanted to tie these tanks into the continuous drip system that I've shown you in previous videos. So this is how I settled on a rack with 4 40 breeders. They're 3 feet long and 18 inches deep, so that leaves me enough room to have 2 rows with enough clearance in between, and then even enough room on top, given the space that I have, to possibly have a shelf up top for storage, or maybe even more tanks. It was also kind of a happy medium between having 2 big tanks and a ton of really small tanks. It also gives me 2 natural divisions of the tanks, and I knew that I was going to add dividers to at least one of the 40 breeders to give me even more. Okay, now on to the build. First, I grabbed the tanks from Petco because I didn't want them to sell out. You never know with these sales. For the rack itself, I used the same design as the rack I showed you a couple of weeks ago for my 2 55s. But this time, I tried to get some video of the process. I cut the pieces to size with the miter saw. I cut the dados with a circular saw. I then assembled each side and connected them together. I went with 2x6s for the spans this time because they're 6 feet wide. This may have been overkill, but I didn't want to put uprights between the tanks. This is the stand once it was fully assembled. One nice thing about the 40 breeder tanks versus the 55s I did last time is that you can drill them for overflows. This makes running the drip system much easier. Drilling tanks might seem scary, but it's actually really simple. You just need a diamond-coated hole saw and some patience. I ran water over the part I was drilling to keep it cool. I also painted the backs of the tank black as usual. Drilling and painting 4 tanks went much faster because I was doing them assembly line style. Once I had the tanks ready, I test fit them on the stand. They fit perfectly, so I was ready to paint the stand black and work on plumbing the overflows. Each tank has a 3/4 inch bulkhead that connects to PVC, which then runs down to my PVC drain pipe. This pipe connects to the floor drain on the other side of the room. These bulkheads are halfway down the tank, which gives me some flexibility. I can either have the stand pipe up vertically so that as the drip system fills the tank it slowly overflows, or I can rotate the pipe downward to quickly drain the tank. As for the tank dividers, I bought a piece of acrylic and cut it to size. I drilled small holes in the pieces to allow water to flow between the sections. The holes are small enough that fry can't swim through them. I then siliconed the dividers in place. I realize that the bond of the silicone to the acrylic may not hold up over time, but that's okay. I have brackets with suction cups holding the sheets firmly in place. The silicone is just there to block the gaps where the acrylic doesn't completely touch the glass. Now that the rack is done, I'm working on some improvements to my central air system and my continuous drip system that I'll show you over the next couple of weeks. I think this build turned out great. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. And if this is your first time here at Steve Poland Cichlids, I would love to have you subscribe. Because each week, I bring you a new video sharing my experiences in the aquarium hobby. I give updates on my tanks, review products, show you DIY projects, and share tips and tricks to help you take your tank to the next level. Hit subscribe today to follow along. Have a good one!